AskReddit by Last Resource 4051. What is a book that you couldn't put down once you started reading it? Project Hail Mary. I recently listened to this on Audible. Hadn't wanted to at first, my other half convinced me it was very good. It was frickin' phenomenal. It is now one of my favorite books. How to pass the California driver's license written test. Right before my exam. Riveting stuff, especially the seatbelt section. Most recently, I'm glad my mom died by Jeanette McCurdy. I didn't have much knowledge of her before, but the memoir is so witty yet devastating. I was very enthralled with her life story. This one was great. Britney Spears also released a crazy one if you like Jeanette's. Two of the wildest reads of 2023 for me. The Stand. This was before either of the mini-series were made. And I was sick as a dog with the flu for the first half the book. Lol. Same. I read it as a teenager in the early 90s. I literally slept only a couple hours a night for a few days and read in 4 days. I was enthralled. Jurassic Park. I reread this every few years. It's such an easy read, I usually blow through the whole thing in a few days. The Katarina. Surprised to not see it here, so I had to post it. My favorite book of all time. This and A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini as well. Unputdownable, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. A hilarious and absurd journey through space that captivates from the first page. Everything by Douglas Adams was brilliant. The Clan of the Cave Bear. It starts out with a little girl swimming in the stream. She is about 5 years old. Then there is an earthquake and all her people disappeared and she was left to fend for herself. This all taking place near the end of the Ice Age. Such a good book. Ayla was such a badass. Helter Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi. Also read The Family. The version I read was a paperback with a green cover. It had a lot more detail than Helter Skelter did and was well written. 1984. That is a book I had to put down occasionally because it is absolutely terrifying. My brain could not handle the anxiety. World War Z by Max Brooks. I just love it. Was going to say this if I didn't find it. Still go back to it every year or so. Deleted. Loved it, but still don't get why they left that basement filled with loads of provisions. A Thousand Splendid Suns. The Kite Runner was also great. The 22nd of November 1963. Stephen King's D-Bomb. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was in 8th grade, I think, around 1996. Made me a reader. What's funny is that I didn't at all stick to fantasy since then. It made me curious about books. In high school, I was a sad girl, so it was the Bell Jar and White Oleander. Then I learned to love a good mystery, then a cheap romance. I even learned to like non-fiction. I think most people just need to find that initial page turner to ignite an interest for the written word, and then it evolves into the reader's delight in exploration, as long as they continue to find the books that speak to them. I vividly remember reading The Hobbit for the first time. I think I was 12 or so. I was so entranced by the writing, I couldn't put it down. Blew my little mind. I Am Legend Richard Matheson 1954. Probably the most influential work in zombie apocalypse genre. Is it really zombie apocalypse though? The Hatchet series when I was a teenager. Same, along with My Side of the Mountain. East of Eden John Steinbeck. This is the novel that made me fall in love with Steinbeck. Going to date myself here, but The Hunt for Red October by Tom Clancy. His first, and in my opinion, best book. The worst thing that ever happened to Clancy's writing was when his editors quit editing his books. That's how you ended up with the bloated with technobabble later books. Red October was shopped around for quite some time before it found a published, so it was very well edited. The end result is a well-told thriller that has enough details to get a full picture but still moves along at a suitable pace for a thriller. For me, it was Clancy's Without Remorse, the book that introduces us to John Clark and shows us what really drives him. The Name of the Wind. All-time favorite. Waiting for the third book is excruciating. I recently read The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buhlman, highly recommend, is of a similar ilk to Patrick Rothfuss. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Still waiting for Wines George. We're gonna be waiting forever lol. Any book I ever read. Same. I am mortified at how much I've let Reddit replace a few solid hours of good reading each day. My all-time favorite book that I can never put down once I start. Animal Farm, George Orwell. More recent books I've read that I haven't been able to put down. A Court of Thorns and Roses, Sarah J. Maas. Five Little Indians, Michelle Good. Akata is so good. After only reading 4 chapters I was on my way to the store to buy the other 4 books. All 3 of SJM's series are amazing. Throne of Glass is my current favorite, but I think Crescent City will overtake it. The Ruin. After I got into the beginning part, I couldn't put it down. I've read a lot of books in my time. Maybe it's just the fact that it didn't have chapters. But once it got interesting, I literally could not put that shit down. Same thing with Max Ride by James Patterson. I'm pretty sure I read almost all those books and almost one sitting apiece. Another kind of shorter but still